Surya, and here's a look at all the top stories that we're tracking today. France and Jordan teamed up to airdrop 7 tons of aid to civilians and aid workers in Gaza as Israel continues to bomb the Palestinian territory. The U.S. Supreme Court agrees to hear Donald Trump's appeal of a ruling by Colorado's highest court that would keep him off the presidential primary ballot in the western state.
He talks about the blood of America as being poisoned, echoing the same exact language used in Nazi Germany.
U.S. President Joe Biden launches his harshest attack yet on Donald Trump as he kickstarts his 2024 re-election campaign, accusing the Republican of echoing Nazi Germany and posing a threat to democracy. An apparent arson fire on a train in Bangladesh's capital Dhaka kills 5 people, adding to the country's extreme tensions ahead of Sunday's parliamentary elections. Bolivia reports its biggest ever cocaine seizure, more than 8 tons of the drug apparently destined for the Netherlands and found in a massive shipment of timber with estimated value of $526 million US. Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah has issued fresh warning of retaliation against Israel after the killing of Hamas deputy chief Saleh al-Aruri in Beirut. He says Lebanon would be exposed to more Israeli operations if his militant group does not respond.
I say this will not pass without a response, nor without a punishment. We will not use the term in the right time and location. The decision, my brothers and sisters, is in the field, where we will be responding. Therefore, our reaction will surely come. We cannot stay silent on a violation at this level of danger, because this would mean all of Lebanon will be exposed. All of the city's villages' figures will be exposed.
Hamas leader al-Aruri was killed in a drone strike on a southern suburb of Beirut on Tuesday. Hezbollah and Hamas have blamed Israel for his death, but Israel does not claim responsibility. Nasrallah also added that the fighting in Gaza could present a quote-unquote historic opportunity for Lebanon to restore its control over territory that was occupied by Israel during the 1967 Arab-Israeli War.
What is this new opportunity? It is the opportunity to be able, in God's will, after this phase and the end of aggression in Gaza, for Lebanon to be able to liberate the rest of its lands, starting with the B1 point in Nakura, reaching Ghajr, Sheba Farm and the hills of Kafr Shuba. We now have a historic opportunity to entirely liberate every inch of Lebanese land.
Shortly after Hamas's October 7th attack, Hezbollah started firing rockets towards Israel. Tensions have been escalating since then on the Israel-Lebanon border. While at a lower intensity than the battle in Gaza, the parallel fighting, it's caused destruction, displacement and death on both sides. It's raised fears of a wider regional war. Nasrallah says Hezbollah had carried out some 670 operations on the Lebanese-Israeli border since then, destroying a large number of Israeli military vehicles and tanks. Israeli army says troops have heightened their readiness for a war across its northern border with Lebanon. Now, the death of Hamas deputy chief Saleh al-Aruri has sparked protests in Palestine. Thousands are gathering in his hometown in West Bank and are marching to demand revenge. These are the scenes from Arura in West Bank, al-Aruri's hometown. People have been demonstrating here, holding Palestine's and Hamas's flags. While these visuals are from Ramallah, several Palestinians are taking to the streets here to protest the Israeli attacks in Gaza and the killing of senior Hamas official in the Lebanese capital. Large crowds also gathered in Yemeni capital Sana'a. Houthi supporters rallied here in solidarity with Gaza. The rebel group has warned that they will target ships in the Red Sea that have links to Israel. Several of their missiles and drones have been shot down by US, French and British warships in recent weeks. Meanwhile, back in Israel, with the 3-month anniversary of Hamas attack and the Supernova Music Festival approaching, families of the victims visited the site in Re'em Kibbutz to remember those killed in the attack and paid tribute by lighting candles.
I'm still stuck on October 7th, maybe the 8th. I can't switch days. I cannot turn the page. I can't open the new year. For my family and another 135 families, today is the 91st of October. Today is the 91 days that they are held by the terror organization Hamas, and literally every second counts.
The site holds pictures of those who were taken captive or were killed. According to authorities, 364 people were shot, bludgeoned or burned to death at the Nova Festival. Another 40 taken hostage by Hamas. On the 7th of October, Hamas militants infiltrated from Gaza and held people hostage. Until date, over 129 hostages are still in Hamas captivity. This as the families of the hostages continue waiting eagerly for the release of their loved ones. Moving on now, the race to the 2024 presidential elections heating up, accusations flying as both parties are pointing fingers at each other. President Biden used his first campaign event of 2024 to call out his likely opponent, former President Donald Trump, for the threat that he poses to American democracy. Joe Biden has accused his opponent, Donald Trump, of echoing Nazi Germany.
The choice is clear. Donald Trump's campaign is about him, not America, not you. Donald Trump's campaign is obsessed with the past, not the future. He's willing to sacrifice our democracy, put himself in power. Our campaign is different.
Well, clearly the political rhetoric is rising. There's no love lost from the former president as well. Donald Trump, known for his remarks, called out the sitting U.S. president.
God bless you. Thank you. Thank you, New Hampshire. Biden's record is an unbroken streak of weakness, incompetence, corruption, and failure. Other than that, he's doing quite well, isn't he, don't you? That's a hell of a list. That's a hell of a list, right? That's why Crooked Joe is staging his pathetic fear-mongering campaign event in Pennsylvania today. Did you see him? He was stuttering through the whole thing. He's he's a threat to democracy.
And as Donald Trump battles a slew of legal challenges, our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report from New York. Listen in.
The U.S. Supreme Court on Friday agreed to review a politically explosive decision by Colorado's High Court to keep former President Donald Trump off its primary ballots. The Supreme Court set a swift schedule starting oral arguments on February 8th. They could reach a decision shortly after that, considering the fact that March 5th is Super Tuesday, which is when Colorado and more than a dozen other states start their primaries and caucuses. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden kickstarted his re-election campaign in Pennsylvania on Friday, not by defending his record in the White House during the past few years, but instead criticizing former President Donald Trump, who will likely be his Republican contender in 2024 for being a danger to democracy. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
Shifting our focus now, after a strong 7.6 magnitude earthquake jolted Japan, the death toll has now risen to 94. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has said that scores of people are still feared trapped under the rubble. While the country's disaster preparation and recovery methods are being tested, the United States is readying military, logistical and aid support. As per reports, the insured losses from the devastating quake can touch $6.4 billion. Of this mammoth cost, over two-thirds are accounted by losses of residential properties. Take a look at this next report to know more.
In the Japanese city of Wajima, rescuers race against time to retrieve those still trapped under rubble after a New Year's Day earthquake. It took 44 hours to save this elderly man in his 80s. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said on Thursday there are a large number of people still trapped under collapsed buildings. He added that some 7,000 rescue personnel are now headed to or are already inside the earthquake zone.
The situation in the affected area is very challenging, but from the perspective of saving lives, we are making all efforts to rescue and to provide life-saving aid to as many people as possible before the crucial 72-hour period following the disaster elapses this evening.
With that time period now elapsed, emergency officials worry survival rates will drop. In the hard-hit Ishikawa prefecture, the streets are a mess of tangled power lines and charred building remains after a fire ravaged Wajima. Material aid has trickled in, but many evacuees remain largely cut off from food, water, electricity and communications amid freezing temperatures and bad weather, authorities have said. The thousands of meals and water sent there are not enough for the 11,000 evacuees. Hundreds queue for what food is available, like Kyoko Kinashita, who is staying at an evacuation centre.
There's no running water, not for the toilet, and we can't wash our hands. There are little babies in the evacuation center, and my biggest worry is that they get infected with COVID or influenza, the spreading of illness.
The extent of the damage from the earthquake and the tsunami it triggered remains unclear. 30 villages remain inaccessible. Some aid has been delivered via sea instead of land, as officials say many roads are blocked. However, larger ships have been unable to dock in some bays of the Noto Peninsula because the seabed has buckled from the earthquake, Ishikawa's governor said on Thursday.
Now, Senegal's Constitutional Council has rejected opposition leader Ousmane Sonko's candidacy for the presidential election. This comes after the country's top court upheld the defamation conviction against Sonko. The case was filed by a government minister, and according to Sonko's lawyer, the council rejected his candidacy because of a quote-unquote incomplete application earlier. Authorities refused to provide Sonko with all the required documents to run. The opposition leader is currently lodged in prison over a defamation case. In 2019, he finished third in the country's presidential elections. Sonko is seen as the main challenger to President Macky Sall's ruling party. The opposition leader's supporters also took to streets demanding his release, though it did not work in the legal corridors, but the growing protests resulted in President Sall ultimately deciding not to seek a third term in office. With the latest court ruling and the council's rejection, Sonko's list of legal battles continue to grow, one that began in 2021 with rape allegations against him. In June, he was acquitted of the rape charges, but soon he was convicted of corrupting the youth. In July, the government dissolved his political party after deadly protests across the country. Meanwhile, eligible candidates for the presidency will be announced soon, and the campaigns are expected to kick off in February. And Britain woke up to major floods in Midlands region. Hundreds of homes have been devastated after a powerful storm and a week of heavy rainfall battered the country. With over 300 flood warnings in force, residents in Midlands, East Anglia and southern England are now forced to evacuate. At least 1,000 homes have suffered damages so far. The Environment Agency says that it expects more rain in the next 24 hours and for river levels to remain high until Sunday. That is, until the 7th of January. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said that he recognised the intensity of the impact of flooding and advised residents living in affected areas to follow government-issued warnings. Sunak assured hundreds of high-volume pumps are being used to remove the stagnant water.
Well, actually, I spoke to people in the East Midlands yesterday who had been affected and talking to them about how devastating the impact of flooding is. I just want people to be reassured that the Environment Agency has got people on the ground in all the affected areas. Also, more hundreds of high-volume pumps are in practice right now, making a difference.
Meanwhile, UK travel operators announced serious disruptions and local authorities advised residents to use the roads only if strictly necessary. Visuals show how locals swapped cars for boats to commute in muddy waters.
We're going to evacuate. The ground floor is no longer tenable. The sewage system doesn't work. It won't be long before the water's polluted as well. The power will go out. Damaged furniture, the fridge, the freezer in the back, the cooker, the washing machine, the tumble dryer, all the white goods in the kitchen gone.
Experts say warming atmosphere increases the chance of intense rainfall and storms. However, many factors contribute to extreme weather, and it takes time for scientists to calculate how much impact climate change has had on particular events. The world has already warmed by about 1.1 degrees Celsius since the industrial era began, and temperatures will keep rising unless governments around the world make steep cuts to emissions. Now, the bitter bite of winter's cold often challenges our resolve to stick to those New Year fitness resolutions we set with such determination at the start of the year. Yet, amid the frosty air and cozy blankets, one can be resilient, find creative ways to keep moving. Our next story tells you how.
Winter's chill has a knack for making that cozy bed feel really inviting, doesn't it? But the outdoors have a unique charm in winter which can only be discovered when you're out there. So a smart idea would be to start your workout indoors by warming up with some light stretches before you head out. Leg rotations, arm movements and dynamic stretches get the blood flowing and lower the risk of injuries. If you're going for a run, cycle ride or even a walk, start very slow and build up along the way. Make sure to cool down properly too. Layer up your clothing smartly, keeping in mind that you will want to shed a layer or two when the body warms up. So jackets that can be comfortably tied around the waist, gloves that can fit into pockets and water-resistant shoes are perfect. Next up, set realistic goals. Aim high but keep it real. It's not just about running marathons. Even small victories count. So cut yourself some slack if you do a bit lesser than you usually do and keep it light whenever you need to. Another good tip is to buddy up. Having a workout buddy makes getting out more fun. Knowing someone's waiting for you can be a real motivation booster. Now let's discover the power of home workouts. Now if you just don't want to step out, you can sweat it out in your own living room thanks to tons of workout videos online. Some exercises that you can do indoors are jumping rope. Jumping rope is a straightforward yet effective way to shed those extra pounds. It engages multiple muscles, giving you a comprehensive full body workout without needing any fancy gear. Burpees. Want an indoor exercise that's a calorie-burning powerhouse? Look no further than burpees. This full body exercise targets muscles all over, from arms to legs. Mountain climbers exercise. No need for actual mountains, just floor space. Imagine the floor as your mountain and assume a plank position while rapidly moving your hands back and forth. This exercise, though intense, strengthens your core and with consistency can lead to a flatter stomach. Stair climbing. Stair climbing within your own home is an excellent way to stay active and shed the winter weight. It engages multiple muscle groups, aids in core management, and helps maintain waist size. And lastly, if the gym is your one stop where you feel most comfortable working out, well, all you need to do is layer up and get there. Inspiration will naturally follow you once you walk into an adrenaline-packed room of weights lifting and dropping. Here's to a healthy winter.
And the ever-accelerating race for EV dominance, a new victor has emerged. China's BYD, it's claimed the pole position as the world's most popular EV maker, outpacing the renowned Tesla. However, the electrifying battle for supremacy, that's far from over, with several twists and turns still ahead. Can Tesla regain its title? We leave you with this report. Thank you so much for watching World DNA.
As the global automotive landscape shifts gears towards a cleaner, greener future, many automakers are electrifying their flagship models. Yet some companies boast a purely electric DNA. Among the frontrunners in the realm of pure EV makers are Tesla and China's BYD. As the checkered flag falls on the December quarter, BYD, fueled by the flourishing Chinese market, claims the coveted title with 526,409 electric vehicles sold, while Tesla, the early leader, delivered 484,507 units. This revelation marks a pivotal moment in the EV saga, signaling a shift in the dynamics of the race for supremacy. The competition goes beyond mere unit numbers. Despite relinquishing the lead in unit sales, Tesla maintains its stronghold in revenue and profit, driven by its high-priced vehicle strategy. The Model Y SUV and Model 3 sedan duo continues to dominate, constituting a staggering 95% of deliveries in the fourth quarter. While Tesla impresses investors with revenue growth, CEO Musk remains optimistic, hinting at the anticipated launch of the Cybertruck, which is expected to boost margins for Tesla. BYD's ascent as the most popular EV maker, fueled by aggressive pricing and affordability, may overshadow Tesla temporarily. Still, Tesla retains its status as an aspirational ride, showcasing the twists and turns in the ongoing race for EV supremacy. With the race freshly underway, it's too soon to declare a favorite. But the excitement of witnessing this electric duel unfold is undeniable. Bureau Report, WION World is One.